I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Well, with the late autumn winds blowing everything around where I am, it is certainly a not all that of a surprise, but certainly a pleasure to have Leaf drop by, because we certainly have plenty of them out here. Hi, Leaf.
Hello, hello.
I appreciate you coming on. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello, I am Leaf, aka Succuleaf VT.
Yeah.
I am a Kitsune Allrune VTuber,
Okay.
and I happen to own a cafe.
Ah, a Kitsune Allrune?
Yes,
Okay.
so an Allrun is basically a type of man-eating plant,
Oh, okay.
but I promise not to do any of that here.
Yes. Well, I can guarantee you that that I am not good. I'm not well consumed. There's been a Food and Drug Administration recall on me for many years. I managed to
Oh,
avoid for
goodness.
the most part, but I do appreciate you coming on. When did you get started in the VTuber community?
Probably about 3, 4 years ago
Hmm.
now.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's quite a ways for VTubers. I mean, that's like in the first wave.
yeah. Um, It was shortly after Kizuna Ai came out and the I want to say the Hololive girls started getting really popular around that time.
Hmm. Yeah.
And my friend had informed me of it, and I'm just like, hey, that's the thing that I always wanted to do with my stream, but never could figure out how to do.
So this you were waiting for the technology to show up.
Basically, I was waiting for the technology to become popular enough to where people actually knew how to do it,
Ah.
and for it to become more accessible because a long time ago, I actually used FaceRig a little bit
Mm.
to have a 3D avatar at that time and was looking into how do I get a 2D avatar of my specific avatar.
Hmm.
And looking into it, I'm like, oh, I could probably do this, and then I completely forgot about it and never went back.
Sounds like how I do my taxes. Oh, no, not I. No, I got my taxes. I paid my taxes 10 years ago. They don't need to get any more from me. The but really it sounds like I find that interesting because I'm obviously I'm not a VTuber myself, and I'm
Hmm.
learning as I go here. But just from hearing 3D as opposed to 2D, one would think that people would automatically want to stay with 3D. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so why did you go from 3D to 2D?
Well, right now I actually do have a 3D model.
Mm.
Um, it just happens to look very convincing to be 2D almost. But when back in 2020, I believe it was,
Huh?
Vroid was still in beta,
Mhm.
Vroid Studio.
Yeah.
I started looking into how to make a model in it, and 6 iterations later, and 4 years later, here we are with my current model,
Mm.
and I'm still constantly changing it and deciding, I want to tweak this, or I want to change that, or, Vroid released something new that it applies to me, so I want to incorporate that into my new design.
You're an artist, aren't you?
Yes.
Ah, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. You artists are never satisfied with nothing.
It's true.
Tweak it here, a
But
little tweaky
that's
there.
that's the uh that's the personality of the beast there, is that if you're never satisfied, then you just continually improve.
Yeah, yeah, and it's all yours. I mean, it's yours to do with what you want because you're the one that put it together. So, um,
Exactly.
yeah. So, uh, if you're gonna tweak the model, you're gonna tweak. So how did you know that you wanted, I mean, you sound like you said that you were kind of streaming beforehand. How did you know that you wanted
Mhm.
to have a model instead of doing the live cam?
Well, I never felt comfortable using live cam because unfortunately I'm not very comfortable with my actual physical appearance.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of body dysmorphia happening there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Instead of dysphoria, because dysphoria means you're completely not comfortable in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Dysmorphia is more you're not comfortable with the shape of your body.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I sit, is that I've never fully been comfortable and have like a bit of dissonance between how my brain pictures my body and how my body actually presents itself.
Oh,
So I always went with kind of the achievement hunter slash Rooster Teeth angle of doing no face cam
yeah.
and then just streaming video game footage with my voice commentating on things.
You,
Um,
you didn't scream lots of four-letter words when you messed up at games, did you? Like Rooster Teeth, the Rage
I
Quit
rarely,
series.
I rarely scream four-letter words in frustration, but I have been known to get frustrated with games and just be like, I'm upset and angry and I'm done with this game.
Crash. The chair goes flying. Crash in the background.
Exactly.
Yes. I
Or
I
someone's desk gets axe kicked.
it gets its axe kicked is what happens to it. Yes. The I when I hear Rooster Teeth, um, the one thing that I always remember is the Rage Quit series,
Hmm.
and the first couple ones I saw with that with the QWOP game. Um, every time I played it back to myself for a good long time, I just about passed out laughing too hard because just how ridiculous it was. but so were they kind of an influence on you a little bit early on?
Yeah, I would say that Rooster Teeth and Achievement Hunter was a bit of an influence for me to get into streaming and get into making videos. I really liked the specific, like, camaraderie sort of feeling that they had with all, like, their friends. It was like a group of friends playing video games together and bouncing off each other very easily, and
Yeah,
I kind of wanted to emulate that, but with a less male-focused group.
yeah, and it was pretty heavily uh, uh, masculine dominated, wasn't it? Um,
Yeah.
and and to be fair, I guess because the whole field was kind of masculine dominated.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few out there that weren't, but it was. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of this now, I guess, but oh, I'm stating the obvious now. No, I'm just remembering it. I'm an old man. Give me a break here. Um, the but so you were able. You saw that, and it didn't daunt you in any way.
Not really. I've never really seen there be like such a big difference between female and male gamers or non-binary gamers
Yeah. Well,
as we
there really
eventually started
isn't.
having.
There really isn't. I mean, it's just it's. I mean, when you as far as people are concerned, either whatever you're out there thinking, um, the but there just seem to be the more opportunities for them.
Yeah.
Um,
There definitely was a lot more opportunities for male streamers at the time that I started streaming, and it was still more popular to be a male streamer than to be a female gamer in general.
mm-hmm.
Because, like, the key things that I noticed that get really popular is if you are a male streamer or a male video creator who gets scared of stuff, people want to watch that. But people don't want to watch a female get scared of things because that's just typical and normal for females to get scared of things, I guess.
Oh, oh, all of us old guys who lived through the '70s and remember the '60s just got stabbed in the heart with that one. No, no, we really don't think that. Guilty. Uh, but it seems like with VTubing, that's all changed completely around, hasn't it?
Yes. I've definitely noticed that with VTubing, we've become uh more female oriented with having a lot more female gamers and a lot more female creators out there
Mm,
who all happen to, well, stream and share both their daily lives and their gaming experiences with everyone.
yeah, yeah. I. Why haven't I just thought of this at this point? It's so obvious now when I look at the trees instead of the forest that
Mhm.
that come out. So once you did get involved in it and got started, how long did it take for you to really settle in behind the avatar?
I pretty much settled pretty quickly. Um, just because I didn't bother changing how I did everything.
Mm,
I didn't try and take on a new personality or try and be someone that I'm not. And that was after talking with a couple friends and getting peer reviews in, and they're just like, yeah, you're fine as is. You don't need to put on a personality or put on a special voice or anything like that. Like, your voice is soothing and people like to listen to it.
that's
Um,
absolutely true, by the way.
thank you.
Yeah, it is.
Um, but yeah, they were just like, just go with the flow, go with the vibes, keep doing what you've been doing, don't try and change things because it's working for you as is.
Mm. With the avatar, have you felt a bigger chance to be yourself with the avatar than you would maybe without it?
Um, I would say definitely I feel more comfortable,
Mm,
like a lot more comfortable streaming and talking about certain topics and communicating with people as opposed to not really having a face cam, or the few times that I did use face cam, I would be very uncomfortable about it
mm,
and just be like, is my surroundings okay? Is uh do I look okay? Do I have enough makeup on?
yeah.
That kind of stuff. Like, having the avatar eliminates a lot of that need to feel like I have to constantly look on point and be on point.
Right, right. I kind of I one of the things that enjoy, and there's so much I enjoy talking to VTubers about, is I relate it back to the old time days when I was a disc jockey and
Hmm.
actual radio and records, record album disc jockey type person. Um, we would be playing the same songs that you would find on other stations in the same market, but people would come back for the personality of the person playing the songs. And we you didn't see us, you didn't see our faces. In my case, that was a really good thing. There isn't enough makeup to put me on television. Um, but the you wouldn't see us, and some people use different names. Some people put on different personalities. Um, and there's I think a lot of parallel to that, to people now going on to Twitch or whatever streaming service. You can find a lot of people playing Lethal Company at any particular time,
Hmm.
but people are going to come back to the personalities that are playing it and watch other things too. Um, I really think there is a long strand of link there, um, and there's a lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that that is the case. From what I've seen and from friends that I've had who actually went into radio as well, they've noted that it's very similar, that people come back for the personality more than they come back for the music or for the content specifically.
Yeah.
Um, People will also come in for very specific reasons. Like, for me, I like to watch Let's Plays that mostly focus on games
Mm,
because generally it's a game that for some reason I can't obtain myself, or alternatively, I can't play because uh Newsflash, I am a weenie when it comes to scary games.
Yeah. Well, some of us are. Me too. I don't. If something gets too scary, I just shut it off.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's just like I would rather not play it, but I love watching other people play it
Oh,
because I'm not the one getting the scares.
exactly, exactly. I knew I liked you for a reason. It really and that type of thing does draw an audience, and people who have the personality to handle that, and that will draw people all the time, and people will come back to watch somebody play those types of games. But um,
hmm
there is a big deal. First of all, uh, are your friends still in radio?
Uh, my friends eventually moved out of radio once they left college because it was a college radio station,
Good.
and they moved on to doing other jobs.
They're probably actually getting paid.
Unfortunately, well, luckily, most of them are getting paid. Most of them, unfortunately, didn't go on into anything involving the skill set that they learned from radio, other than just being big personalities at work.
Yeah, well, I unfortunately, local radio is very, very tough in the United States to get any traction in these days, which is why I now
Yeah.
work at a city job. Yes, and kind of, but the interpersonal things and I get to meet nice people like yourself and talented folks all around doing this, which I enjoy a lot. Um, when you got on and started interacting with these people online, was it easy for you to do?
Um, it was a little bit nerve-wracking at first,
Hmm.
mostly because, I mean, you're dealing with possible strangers coming in, and you're also dealing with the aspect that Twitch is still struggling to find a way to actually deal with people who don't have good intents.
Right.
And sometimes, you have to be on the ball and make sure that you're the one handling everything
Mhm.
because otherwise something slips up and you end up getting your channel removed for something you didn't even say or do.
Oh yeah, yeah. That definitely that or something that gets reported and that you didn't even do, uh,
Mhm.
or somebody you just there are always agents of chaos out there who just want to you know throw a wrench in
Yeah.
your cornflakes, that type of thing, just to, and then they don't care about the rest of the way. Um, you haven't had that.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened to you, I hope.
Luckily, I've been pretty lucky to not have anyone come in and say nasty things or try and like hate raid me or anything like that.
Mm.
I do unfortunately occasionally get the errant scammer or bot trying to sell me on their artwork.
Oh yeah. Well,
They're on Twitch too.
yeah. That's that happens plenty. That happens everywhere. If you
Yeah.
and it's very tough to get around. Perhaps not on the right now on a certain chat that a lot of people are going to that starts with the letter B, as
Mm.
opposed to an X or T. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and at the moment, anyway, um, not a commercial, but just saying. Uh,
Yeah.
but it eventually does catch up with a lot of these things in the end, and
It
it,
does, though. I have noticed that that particular website that starts with a B,
mhm.
um, has a unique way of dealing with it, which is essentially just starving people out by having nuclear blocks and having ways to essentially keep you from interacting with them.
Mm, nice.
And there's also a culture that has been pushing that as well as just constantly reminding people block, don't interact, because the more you interact, the bigger the platform they get.
Right, right. It's like the old thing when you get a text that was unsolicited on your phone, and it says, "Click here to opt out." Don't ever click there to opt out because you're telling them that it's an active number.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what you're doing there too, is you're telling them it's active and they can go from there. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a scam. I wish I could get some of that money. I mean, it's a terrible thing. Sorry, radio getting back
Oh,
to me again.
no, I totally understand. It's definitely one of those things where it's just like, you know, if I had less morals,
Yes, stupid
I
morals.
would probably be on board with this, but I have very high morals and I don't believe in scamming people out of their money.
Oh, I am. I don't think I've told this on these streams, but I actually was a telemarketer for a while.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, and I had to sell. And I live in central Illinois, and we were selling um, phone things such as call waiting, which was new at the time, to
Mm,
people who were
hmm.
living in New York City.
Ah,
Yeah, there were times when we got skin taken off our ears when we called these numbers, and I didn't blame them one bit. But
yeah.
but even if you do well in that business, you come home and you want to wash the money.
Yeah. See, I worked on the opposite side of that when I first started working. I worked in customer service
Oh,
in a call center for customer service.
oh, that's
And most of the time, I actually got really nice people and
yeah,
I managed to flip all their worries around and just be like, getting them cheered up and happy on the call and not feeling like they wasted their time calling us.
right.
But there was always, that one person who calls in and he's so irate that he's just calling you a robot and demanding to talk to your manager and saying I'm not mad at you, you're just a mindless robot doing your job. And it's just like that's still hurtful. You are aware of that, right?
You are you
Calling
are
someone a mindless robot is still rude.
you're a mindless, insignificant robot. I'm not mad at you. You're not worth being mad at. I
Exactly. It's just
no, I am
that was the
too.
one time that's the one time where I had to sit down and like put down the call like after I transferred it to my manager and just I had to turn off the phone and just be like, "Okay, I need to go take a walk for 15 minutes. This is now my break because oh boy."
That's when it can send you in a downward spiral, isn't it? That I'm not even good enough for
Mhm.
them to hate me.
Yeah, it
uh,
definitely was one of those like punch to the gut kind of moments, but most of the time I end up having people asking me for my phone number,
mm,
for my personal contact,
oh, of course.
and wanting to meet me in person, not
Mm,
for any bad reasons, but because they liked my voice. And it's just like, I can't do that.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Well, I was doing a post game radio show for a major college football team that went 0-11.
Hmm.
I aged 10 years that year. People wanted my phone number, but it wasn't for good things.
Oh no.
No, it was not. It's very tough to get too far under my skin now with with a lot of things. Uh,
Yeah,
and so
but
you
that's a good thing.
yeah. Well, it but I imagine having that in your background makes it in your particular background makes it a little easier to deal with people one on one in chat.
It does. Mostly when I can get them to interact, a lot of the times is getting people to actually interact in chat and want to talk.
Hmm.
Because a lot of the times people will come in and they just want to listen or they just want to watch the content and not really chat that much. But then occasionally you get people who come in and they're just chatterboxes and you kind of have to be like, okay, I have to play the game at some point. I love talking to you, but goodness, I need to pay attention to what I'm doing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I died 7 times just now.
yeah, in Stardew Valley, which is really tough to do. I mean, you just die constantly in Stardew Valley with talking to the people. So when you're on the streams, what types of games are you? I know not horror games, obviously, but
You know,
what type of games are you playing?
mostly I'm playing visual novel games and RPGs.
Mhm.
Those tend to be my favorites.
Yeah.
Though I have added occasionally a horror game here or there, despite not wanting to play them because, well, I have a redeem on my stream that people can pick any game from my library to have me play
Ah,
next. And having bought horror games in the past because of the intent to play them, people see that and go, "Oh, you have Outlast. Why don't you play Outlast?"
can you hear
It's
me?
just like I don't play Outlast because I've played it before and it scares me.
Do you hear me shaking my head?
It's a mistake, I know, but it's a mistake I'm willing to accept because streaming helps me get through that giant backlog of games that I have.
Yeah, yeah. And is it an escape for you, streaming and interacting with these folks?
It is in a sense. For me, it's mostly just getting interaction in,
Mm.
which I love interacting with people and I love talking with people and getting to know their stories and getting to know them and who they are and what makes them tick.
Mm.
Um, which I'm sure you can relate because that's why you have the interviews going on.
Yeah, yeah. You're just like reading my resume here. Just by saying this, it does. If you have the curiosity and the to do that, then you have a bit of a background in dealing with people, then you can find out a lot about them very easily. You break down the you disarm them is the best way to put
Hmm.
it. And now you're talking on them with at a certain level. And that and folks, I can tell you from personal experience that if they're a baseball Hall of Famer, if they're a Nobel Prize winner, if they're a actress, if they're a sitting governor for crying out loud, um, you talk to them like human beings, and you're going to get human being answers. And
That's very true.
yeah, and nowadays you see some folks who do interviews and talk to people, and they've got all their questions written down, and you see the defense go straight up, and
Hmm.
you'll get the same answer that he gave everybody else. Um, okay, if you can get along with that, fine. But I like talking with people, which is which is and so far we've done pretty good with that, and I'm very blessed to be able to talk with folks such as you, Leaf, and these people because it's just hearing about people's backgrounds and all their different talents and stories is fascinating to me. Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
hearing how you've come to this and now 4 years in and still enjoying yourself the way you did in the first year.
I would say so. There's not as much hype, I would say,
Uh,
and there's still, of course, the sad part of watching the VTubing sphere, which is you get a lot of people who come in, expect to make it big off the beaten path and just immediately make it big,
mhm.
and they burn out very quickly and are graduating in under a year. And
Yeah,
it's just like you have to understand that this is a thing that you have to work for, and it's not just going to happen immediately.
right, right, and
Like, it'd be nice if I could, manage 20 concurrent viewers constantly and not have them be bad eggs, but I appreciate the, 10 or so people I get that come into my stream and hang out and ask questions and talk to me. Like, I appreciate that more than having a larger viewership that, I can't exactly control.
yeah, and they're coming back for you,
Exactly.
and 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 that's the thing that always would get me when I hear somebody say, "Yeah, I used to hear you on the radio doing the sports all the time." Yeah, we come back each week. I'm like, you really made part of your life, took time to specifically listen to me. These people are doing that
Hmm.
for you, and whether they're secretly the person next door or somebody standing upside down on the other side of the world to you. Um, that's pretty. That's that's got to hit you in the feels, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Like it makes me feel appreciated and it makes me feel like what I'm doing is worthwhile,
Yeah.
even if it's just a couple of people who come around, like being able to provide entertainment for them and take them a bit out of, the usual humdrum of life.
Mm,
It feels good.
yeah. And when you're done doing something like that you enjoy and other people are enjoying with you, and whether it's a performance like a VTuber does, or like me with the interviews I'm doing, or anything along those lines, the sense of fulfillment that you get from that is very intoxicating.
Oh yeah.
It it makes you want to go do it again. And
There's
go ahead.
there's that, but there's also the amount of energy that you put out with doing, like, even with me, who I mostly am very similar on screen as I am off screen,
Hmm.
it's just the dial's cranked up to a 10 instead of sitting at a usual 3. So it still takes a lot of energy out of me when I do stream, and there are definitely days where I'm just like, I don't feel like myself,
Yeah.
so I can't stream
Yeah.
because I need to have that energy to put out a 10 instead of, putting out maybe a 2
Yeah.
that I feel like right now.
At least your dial goes up to whole numbers. Mine goes up to like 0.73 as the high. I always used to tell folks at work, they say, "Well, how do you get this stuff done?" I said, "Well, I always give 50%." Like, what?
Mhm.
Why don't you give 100%? I said, "Well, there are some days when I might accidentally give 70%, and they'll think I'm doing 120%, and I'm actually saving 30% for later."
That's a smart way to do it.
Yes. That's called being an old man, and can't get up and walk around like you used to anymore. Save that energy back. Um, but really, being able to put on the show, and you're doing it not just for yourself, but you're doing it for those folks who are taking that time to come and be a part of it, and enjoy listening and being a part of what you're doing. Um, you have taken ownership of that.
Hmm.
And was that something that you thought of when you started doing it?
Um, Not as much. Oh, sorry, I have a small interrupter right now. Um,
What's their name?
Misty.
Misty.
It's a cat.
Yes. Well, Misty is my wife. Ah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
What's she doing over there?
Well, currently purring in my ear.
Oh. Well, that's how I ended up married in the first place. But that's a whole different story. That has nothing to do with VTubing whatsoever.
No. Um, but yeah, no, that's gosh, now I've forgotten the question.
I've thrown you completely off the rails. I, no, it's a question about um, when you first started, and now you have these folks that are coming in, and you're kind of do you feel that responsibility to be there for them, and did you think you would have that kind of responsibility when you started?
Um, I definitely do feel the responsibility, like, to keep on top of my schedule, and if I'm not keeping on top of it, let people know because I feel that, these people are waiting to watch certain things and waiting to spend time with me, and if I can't make it out, then I would want to know if I were in their place
Mm-hmm.
so that I'd know that I have that free time available to dedicate to something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but when I first started out streaming, I didn't anticipate that kind of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Even though when I started out streaming, I did do a lot of research into how do you like manage uh a good following and manage to grow on YouTube and on Twitch, and a lot of it was recommendations of, make a schedule and stick to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like
Consistency.
that's
Yeah.
something a lot of people forget, is that people will make time for you if they know when you're going to stream.
Yep.
But if they don't know when you're streaming, they can't make time for you, and you end up with a very unreliable stream base.
Right. You try to give them the fewest hurdles possible to go over
Exactly.
and make it easy for them to get a hold of you. Have you been branched out? Have you branched out into other like YouTube and TikTok and that sort of thing to try to promote your channel?
Um, so unfortunately, I'm an old person too, and I don't understand TikTok. I have tried so many times to understand TikTok, and like I get that it's supposed to be videos in short form, but how do I make videos in short form? No idea. Absolutely no idea.
I
So
I appreciate that sentiment.
it's a foreign language to me.
That's exactly right. I'm like, yeah, you young whippersnappers can have your TikToks. I'll just watch the old YouTubes. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I mean, YouTube's has shorts now too,
yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah,
you can get the same kind of experience, but from YouTube.
yeah. Exactly. Which is where this interview is going to be on our YouTube channel, and we're going to have all of the links that we've been able to find for Leaf on in the description, and please check out what Leaf has going on. Obviously, a a fun person to talk to and be with, and an outstanding person, very talented. Please check out what Leaf is doing, and you got to come back, please. You
Of
got you
course.
got to come back, please. We 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 got a lot more to talk about, I think, uh, and maybe even some of it we'll be able to put on the air. I don't know, but if you could send Misty back, I'd appreciate it.
I'll try.
She's not supposed to be driving.
She's not supposed to be driving right now.
No, she's not. She just had hand surgery. She's from Indiana. She might just do it anyway. Um, and the folks from the folks thing is, I could say that, and the folks from Indiana are like, yeah,
Yeah, what of it? Hands broken, still gonna drive.
what about it, Illinois boy? Okay, fine. Just saying. Absolute.
Meanwhile, I'm in Seattle where, if it snows like an inch on the ground, everyone's just like, well, time to close down all the places.
Yeah,
No work, no school,
yeah, yeah.
nothing's going on anymore.
Oh, we just had an inch of snow yesterday, which is the earliest we've had in some time in central Illinois. And everybody was
Oh,
like,
goodness.
that's great. We'll just run our cars into trees." It's like first snow, everybody forgets how to drive. Smash.
Hmm.
Yeah, but absolute pleasure talking with you, and I'm so glad that we've been able to meet this way. And let me know what's going on so we can promote what's going on with you. Okay?
Yeah. Well, I know that tomorrow I'm going to be over on McUltraman's channel as a guest playing Savage
Oh,
Worlds.
cool.
So that's a fun experience. We do that about once a month.
Excellent.
Otherwise, I'm mostly doing community nights on Mondays, um, doing long stream days on Tuesdays, starting at 4 p.m. Pacific,
Yep.
and then Kingdom Hearts is currently on Wednesdays. And whenever we get back to it, Final Fantasy V is over on my friend Coco's channel,
Mm,
A Space Cocoon.
Ah, there you go.
and I guest over there, and we're currently playing through the entire Final Fantasy series in order of release.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll talk again about that in about 20 years.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, yes, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.